share Moshiamu. When you so, I made a semnam. Yena, any. I decode the entire Shiamu. Bearman, your young for Vintina, Wahane. Bedding candy as a damo, Yame. Fisanya na domini mobro hwa ankayanti ase tashamada bodwemu a eye na adom marakwa adumo na hwan na ye ka ne ho asemi eye be mani onyamfo Lartey Ejami me ya ne ho me ye Abasatia adoye wom ene ye be hye no ani onyam na ya da na se inchuma be kai wo ya da wase ne wada agie osompa wo de som oman no ya da wase ne wakukudro ye nya oso Bemena Yes sir nyame mau Wedi fremo ni wo fi bem Yes sir nyame mau Ghana da wase Mebunu so da wase Ejapa Yesre nyame ma o Yesre se nyame ma unyinche Enti dia ye kan se Yesre nyame ma o da Yesre nyame ma o da Wedi fremo ni wo fibem Yesre nyame ma o da Senya me mauda pape ya senya me mauda awule okasamafo ya senya me mauda ya senya chasoma ya senya me mauda ejape ya senya me mauda
Stand by to play one more. No, stand by to play one more.
A nation that doesn't celebrate its heroes is not worth dying for. We're not that kind of nation. So today we're celebrating a living legend who will be 96 this year. Celebrated sports commentator, journalist, and Mr. Joe Lartey. We're celebrating today. And with me is Evans Edu Jemfi, who's a personal aide to Mr. Lartey. And we're surrounded by memorabilia, which I'm really interested in, and I will get to find out the history behind all these things here. And hopefully get to speak to Mr. Lartey as well. But Evans, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Kafi.
And it's good to see you here.
Good to see you here too.
So you are with the Arts Legendary Wall of Fame, the Honors 2023, and the first person that you are celebrating is Mr. Joe Lartey. What's the background?
Well, to put it in a different context, this is the third edition. The first edition was done in honor of the late Efo Kojo. Then the next to follow was Professor, also late Professor J.H. Kwabena Nketia. And it's come to the turn of Mr. Joe Lartey. Originally, this event should have happened at the National Museum. Because what happens is, at the end of the celebration, there's a donation from the Art Legendary Hall of Fame honors to the museum, so that everybody who visits the museum gets to see this person that has been honored. But the thought went through and came to the conclusion that Joe Lartey started at GBC, so why not go back to GBC? So this year, the piece of art, which will be unveiled later, stays here at GBC. That's the good news.
Wonderful.
Perhaps National Museum will come for it. That is arrangement between the two of you, but that's for a different discussion. But with me here is a separate collection. We are trying to put up a museum. We're calling it Casa, but Abrimpon Casa. So Kasapon. And it's in honor of Joe Lartey and another friend who actually started a group to groom and train public speakers in Ghana. We'll get into the detail, but perhaps I'd like to walk you through some of the collections we've had so far and the histories behind them. I will start first with this. So you can see, viewers cannot see, this is a piece of material, Joe Lartey, Anglican School, Aguna Swedro. Now, what a lot of people do not know is Mr. Joe Lartey started before coming to GBC as a teacher. But prior to teaching, he had been to the Navy. He joined the British Navy whilst he was a student at Accra Academy. And by the influence of the speeches of Winston Churchill, left school, go to Takrady, enlist on the British Navy, and fought in World War II. When he returned, they were demobilized as veterans, but the government at the time gave them options to choose what to carry on or to take on as careers. And he decided to teach, because whilst at sea, he had learned a great deal about public speaking, and he felt he had enough knowledge to be able to impart knowledge in the classroom. Thankfully, he was given a scholarship, and that scholarship took him to the Wesley College in Kumasi, where he trained to become a professional teacher. So when he completed Wesley College, he was sent around the country. But Aguna Swedro was one of the most prominent places that he stayed and taught. Not long ago, one of his students found him in town and was able to make him out. This man is almost 70 or 70 plus. So this document is so important to me as somebody trying to create this museum in his honor, because that is where his love for children, training children, leadership in boys' clubs, this is the material he used as a guide to do that. And here we are looking at as far back as 1940.
Wow.
That's the document we have there.
Amazing. What else can we see here?
We see here the doyen of public speakers in Ghana. This was presented to him by Toastmasters International. And today being a day we are celebrating the Constitution and so on, when you hear the word doyen, J.B. Dankwa comes to mind. He is accorded as the doyen of Ghanaian politics. Toastmasters International, based in the U.S., accorded the title, the doyen of public speakers in Ghana, on Mr. Joe Lartey. And that's what you will see here.
What picture is this?
This picture was Mr. Joe Lartey facilitating a presentation session with the police academy, now police training school at Tesano. So after the presentation, the session, he took this picture with them. And this is Mr. Lartey, his first grandson, who was taken after him. He's also doing great in the United States as a journalist. He writes for all the big papers you can think of. And that is the wife, Mrs. Emily Lartey.
Fantastic.
To whom they've been married or has been married to Mr. Lartey for a little over 72 years.
72 years of marriage.
Their last daughter is here in
Wow.
studio.
Amazing.
And this is Mr. Lartey exchanging pleasantries with a colleague at one of the functions. This was not long after he left GBC. So those are the things we see here. This is his profile.
Yeah.
Born in Accra on Whit Monday, and he's very particular about that. So today being a Monday, he will say it is his spiritual day. 1927 was the day. 6th of June. 6th of June is Mr. Lartey's birthday, and that is his profile. Here we have his post box. The popular, those of us close to him, we know the post box, AN 10205, the prefix there, Accra North.
One time.
The younger ones may not appreciate how precious it is to have owned
A post box.
a post box.
Yes.
So we have that in the collection as well.
This.
And this is the latest, the exclusive Man of the Year Africa Award, Emmy Award for short, that was presented to him last year in October in the presence of the Vice President of the Republic.
Okay.
So that is it.
This is another Toastmaster.
This is a Toastmaster citation.
And then this.
And this is special. This is Swag. In 2019, Swag presented him with this special recognition. You know, he is the first, or if I should put it that way, the founding president of Swag.
Sports Writers
The
Association.
Sports Writers
of Ghana.
Association of Ghana.
Okay.
So it was a wonderful event. I was there with him. In fact, that day something happened. Whilst I was going to pick him up from the house, so we go to the conference center where the event was held at. I got there, he said, "You're looking good." I said, "You're also looking good." He was supposed to wear this hat. He picked it from his head and then he put it on my
your head.
So ever since, when I have a special assignment,
Go with it.
I go with it.
Yes. And he actually has swag. yeah, real swag. So
you're right.
Okay, what else do we have? I see microphones, I see spectacles.
Exactly.
I see
You know-
what looks like a radio.
Yes, Joe Lartey, the name Joe Lartey cannot be dissociated from radio and commentary. So we've gone back into the GBC archives to retrieve some of the items he used whilst he was here.
Okay.
So we have here a microphone.
What?
This is omnidirection microphone. In other words, it goes just one way. And in 1965, when the boxing legend Muhammad Ali was in Ghana, it is important to put this on record. Mr. Lartey was the only sports journalist who was granted access to him to interview him.
He met the greatest.
He met him, then Ambassador Hotel. And he has a very interesting story about that he goes to see Muhammad Ali in his hotel room, quote and unquote, half naked. He introduces himself. "I'm Joe Lartey from GBC, I'm here." He said, "Young man, shoot." In other words, start the interview.
When he was...
He had a cup, in fact, a bucket of ice cream in his hands. And while the interview was going on, he was downing the ice cream. In other words, he was ever ready.
It was just free.
Ever ready. So that is the
greatest.
microphone they used at the time.
Wow.
And this is, for the younger ones who may not get
wondering whether he ever
a
met
real
Pele.
recorder. Pele, I may have to check.
Yeah, we'll
But
check.
maybe he's here. So thankfully, he's here to fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
And this is a real recorder. The brand is Niagara. And these were some of the elements that were used during their time
To record.
the broadcast and then replay on air at the time.
Wow.
So we have them here. This is the adapter that connects. It's these days we can't even carry
You need
it.
to be strong to be a broadcaster back then. Now everything is in the cloud.
Yes. So
Wow.
that is it. And this is special to me. This is the first, actually the second. The walking stick he used.
Walker, yeah.
I remember how it came about. The first one, we had to actually plead with him because Joe has this mentality that he's ever strong, he wouldn't need a walking stick. Then he had a fall. So when the first son, Joachim, returned from the US, he said, Daddy, you have to get it. So that's when it became faulty. I picked it up and kept it. So that is for the museum.
What is this?
This is a radio, the last radio he's ever used. So it looks quite current. But it's also one of, and the story behind this is, till date, he's ever listening to radio. In fact, surveying, commentaries, presentations. I would not be surprised he has a report on you.
Yeah, I won't be surprised myself.
So he's ever ready,
Still
ever listening to BBC, VOA, wherever. He's always local. I'll tell you a little story about the radio. I visited him once, and the wife loves listening to local stations, Peace FM precisely, and Joe wants to do the English stations, so Unique, BBC, and there was a little debate between the two of them. Mr. Lartey said, but what do I have to learn from these commentaries that I don't even understand fully? He said, but if you don't listen to the local ones, how would you know if there is news that is breaking? So it's a little debate that we moved on from there.
Okay. So I can see a microphone?
Yes, so those were some of the microphones,
Okay.
It takes me to Sugar Ramos.
Okay.
And some of the interviews that he did with him. And this is a presentation that was done to him by TV Africa, a Japa, they called it. Okay. This is special to me. The Joe Lartey School of Public Speaking and Management Skills. In 2011, on the 1st of July, I sent him to Sehurioso, my hometown, and we held the first ever Republic Day Symposium. And that record, I kept it, is still here. Yes.
This one I want to show to, if you were born in the 21st century, please tell me what this is. If you were born in 2000 upwards, you don't know what this is. I can assure you, you do not know what this is. Tell them what it is.
This is what we call cassette.
Cassette.
And Mr. Lartey loves music. In fact, he tells me his love for music was developed when he was with the Navy. So whilst they were ashore, at sea, they would be singing to keep themselves afloat. One that we share in singing. Yippee ya ya, yippee yippee ya, yippee ya ya, yippee yippee ya.
Oh, we know that song.
But there's a twist to it. I remember when I was a sailor.
All right.
I remember when I was a sailor. I remember when I was a sailor, when I was a sailor, when I was a sailor. Yeah. So we come to that. Now, maybe this should be the last one I present.
Yes.
Because it has and I see writer in the house already.
I see his spectacles.
Yes.
Those are his spectacles.
Yes.
Okay.
I collected these because Mr. Lartey is ever reading. And that's why I brought these as
books,
well.
Yeah.
The Daily Word. Every day, including this morning, he's read. And a lot of people may not know that he's a self-taught man. Apart from training college, he's not been to any institution for formal education. Everything he's done through his days at GBC and afterwards has been by self-tuition. And that is very important. Public speaking has been a subject he's consumed and consumed passionately. These two books are some of the collections or the titles he first acquired.
Public speaking
I have checked for dummies and then how to give a damn good speech.
Even when you have no time to prepare.
Yes.
We love that.
Summaries of subject that you can easily pick, tweak here, and then you have a speech going. And I also have this element to make a point. Kafu, do you know what this is?
This is a quill.
Quill?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a feather. It's for writing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is to tell a story of how difficult, well, let me put it this way. There are two things in life that Mr. Lartey finds very difficult in doing. And that is to say that no human is perfect. One is signing his own signature.
Okay.
And two is shaving his beard.
All right.
So I kept this element to tell that story. In fact, he's transitioning from using the old razor blade to the new one. Still, he has difficulty in doing that.
This is an old one.
Yes.
You have to screw it and then put a blade inside.
Yes.
Charlie, we from far. Walk by jacket.
And he's still struggling to do that. Then this magnifying glass I picked from him. I've seen him a number of times. He will be reading, like I did mention. The text is too minute, and he has to use that to keep the reading
The reading
going.
must continue.
This is a citation from the Joe Lartey Toastmasters Club.
Fantastic.
In honor of Mr. Lartey. So the point here is every Toastmasters Club has between 20 to 30 members. And one has been created and dedicated solely to honor Mr. Joe Lartey.
Fantastic.
So that is what it also came by.
What is this?
This is one of the elements that was supposed to come here. Okay. It is in connection with the old equipment that they use during broadcasting days.
Wow.
Something similar to what we have as a
these are like microphones?
The microphones, old microphones that we have.
So this is basically stuff that's going to be in the museum?
It's going to be in the Kasapon Museum, and anybody who works in there will get to not just see and experience them as I am telling, but because he is still around, he will be present to tell the story.
Fantastic.
And let you know more. And perhaps this will be the last item.
Indeed.
And this is the book together we wrote in honor, to tell the story of how Toastmasters came to be. Okay. And carefully, I think writers should subject me to hefty lashes if I did not mention this. And by right, those of you who might not know right, I'm talking about Mr. Kwabena. This was an award given to Mr. Lartey all the way in Qatar.
Okay.
And I watched the proceedings from afar in Ghana, and I felt so proud. I really want to appreciate Mr. Kwabena with his General Secretary and all those who went with Mr. Lartey to Qatar to receive this award. And this is very recent.
Before the World Cup?
In fact, it was the Qatar before the Qatar,
okay,
if I should put it that
way.
All right. And all sports writers from around the world gathered, and I'm told Mr. Lartey was one that was, the person that was voted to be celebrated at this award. So AIPS Sports Media Award, a lifetime in sport. The link is there. We can share for those who are interested to monitor how it went. Okay. So in brief, this is Mr. Joe Lartey. Today is Constitution Day. He has a very interesting story about Constitution. Maybe we don't have enough time.
Okay.
That on the day the 19th Constitution was actually, the referendum for the Constitution was passed, a friend of his, a historian at the University of Ghana, a white man, called him and said, Joe, come, let's have conversation over coffee. They went and said, how could a number of people come together and give power to one man? So that's the story behind it.
That's the story.
And this is Attitude Ghana was launched in the year 2003 during President Kufuor's...
20 years ago.
Yes, 20 years ago.
So these are pictures?
Yeah, pictures of that. But there's a story behind it. So he was launching Attitudes Ghana. The vice president was supposed to be the guest speaker. He invited the vice president. He couldn't come and asked one of his ministers, I wouldn't want to mention his name, to go represent him. And guess what happened?
He came late.
He was late.
Mr.
Lartey said, out of this place.
He sacked the guy.
He sacked the guy.
Of course.
And they had to plead. They said, but I'm here to talk about attitude.
Yeah.
How do we kick off on attitude with a bad attitude? So perhaps this is how we'll end the session here.
Thank you so much.
On a good note, let's all have a good attitude.
Please sack people who come to your events late. I agree, and I support Mr. Lartey 100%. We're going to now just enjoy the beautiful voice of our poetess who has a work she wants to deliver in honor of Mr. Joe Lartey. Over to you. Over to you, poetess.
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. The void when the world has no one to look up to is such a nightmare to young fellows with greater dreams and aspirations. They dim their shines and abandon their rise, so they fall prey to their predator who plagues their growing grains. They fade to the winds. For when the dust settles, all we see is a desert with no footprints of a trace. For this, each is compelled to run his race. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. They work tirelessly on their fields until the growing green is seen miles away. Sleepless nights and stressful days, they work their growing greens to sunlight and moonlight, and patiently they wait for their harvest. Heroes get remembered, for they are admired for having done something so brave or achieved something so great. They create memories into the hearts of the people, leaving a lasting mark into the homes of many. Today, we hear in our homes this accolade. Over to you. This is because one man started a revolution in the hearts and minds of the people with just a simple phrase, over to you, Joe Lartey. An accolade in a Ghanaian home, a phrase on the lips of the Ghanaian mother. She passes on this heritage to her offsprings and propels continuity. Today, you find one of her offspring standing before this legend to be like him, but finds herself reciting for him. She is humbled. Legends never die like the dust of the earth. Their spirits guard the land. For the epics of the chronicles is seen and heard miles away, for they never die. And the glory of their medals seen on their necks, and the crown of their glory seen on their heads. For their story lives on, so they never die. Like stars at night, they twinkle in their time. A legend who took his first breath June 6th, 1927. The road to destiny led him on to become Ghana's renowned commentator and journalist, who served under Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and with Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. Oh, an illustrious son of the land who not only made his land proud, but became the epitome of Africa. Through his indefectible service to the public, he won the hearts of the people. With his remarkable endowment, he became the eyes and the ears of the listening public. Indeed, you served humanity impeccably. Today, we celebrate Africa's legendary broadcaster and iconic sports commentator, Mr. Joachim Awule Lartey, a.k.a. Over to you, Joe Lartey. Thank you very much.
Many, many thanks, Makida El Hussein, our poet, with those stirring words in tribute for a man, a living legend, Mr. Joachim Lartey. Joe Lartey, over to you, and over to you, one of the spiritual sons of Mr. Lartey, because who doesn't know sports highlights? Monday evening appointment for how many years? And the man with the smooth voice and the great vocabulary and the energy and the passion and the vigor has joined me for breakfast. Scott Noyeba, good morning.
Hi, thanks so much.
And Happy New Year to you.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Wow, it's a pleasure to have you here.
I'm honored.
And we're just here for one man and one man alone, Mr. Joe Lartey, who we are celebrating today. How does that make you feel? Just the fact that we are able to celebrate a living legend.
Well, first of all, let me commend you and commend Ghana Broadcasting for this program. I mean, more often than not, what do? We celebrate people in their absence. The fact that you have that energy, that vision, that initiative to honor this legend, for me, really, really touches my heart. And I'm greatly honored to be part of this program. There's a man we've taken inspiration from for decades, as kids, as toddlers. We looked up to him. He was the quintessential commentator, the epitome of all that is good about commentary. And, in his time, we didn't have many commentators in the system, as is the case right now. So everybody in Ghana who loves sports knew Joe Lartey. And every single weekend, we looked up to Joe Lartey. And again, you mentioned energy, the kind of energy he had in those days, and the kind of vigor, the vivacity was absolutely incredible. And the knowledge, it was strange to most of us, particularly, those days most of our teams were involved in African Championship. and playing against teams from Zaire, for instance, and the ease with which he mentioned the names really shocked most of us. And
Research.
He did it with such ease. And we would later find out that he spent enormous amount of time in their camps just studying and rehearsing the names, so it came very easy as you're listening, music in your ear. And to go into history as one who, for example, commentated on the World Championship fight involving DK Poison when he first won the World Championship. I mean, it was incredible. So every single person in Ghana, it wasn't just about the activity, but the fact that it was Joe Lartey who was running commentary was so pleasant. And for some of us to have the honor and privilege to be associated with him, we feel honored, we feel privileged. And he continues to inspire us, and we're most encouraged.
Good to have you here. And we're also joined by a mentee of the great Joe Lartey, Prince Joe Lartey Jr. Prince, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much. You're looking good.
So are you. And what's running through your mind today as we gather here to celebrate a great?
I think that first of all, I'd like to pay homage to Mr. Kwabena before Mr. Joe Lartey. I happened to work directly some time ago under Mr. Kwabena on radio and television commentary. Now back to the old great Joe Lartey Jr. What goes on through my mind right now is the fact that heroes need to be celebrated, and this is a step in the right direction. When you have people being celebrated, you have the progeny working harder because they know that when they get to this stage, they'll also be celebrated. And this is a man who had a lot of impact on different generations. Personally, I didn't meet him when he was in his heydays doing commentary all over Africa. But way back in school, in Accra Academy, his alma mater, which I also attended, he was in charge of the Debaters Club in '97, and I happened to be there. That's the first experience I had with him when it comes to public speaking. He was mentoring us for the Goyle debating time that was hosted by the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and that is how the relationship, the romance started. And eventually, I got access to GBC as a commentator here myself between 1999 and 2006. Fabulous. His tentacles spread everywhere, both the old generation and the new generation. And you never know what's going to happen as far as his influence in the media landscape, as far as sports and history is concerned.
And I'll ask another same question. What one thing have you learned from Mr. Joe Lartey?
I've learned the gift of the gab, public speaking as a whole. If I got into the media in broadcasting, I can give all the credit to him because of what he started with us in Television Africa. I've learned to speak in public, and that was due to his mentorship.
Same question for you. Right?
Well, simple humility. That's something I've learned from him. A man whose character is so parallel to haughtiness and superciliousness, down to it. Despite all the things he's achieved in life, there's a man who is very, very humble. And it is something the modern generation of journalists struggle to do. In no time, most of them think they are stars, they are superstars. And most journalists these days are very, very arrogant. They are not ready to learn. And
why do you think that's so?
As I indicated, years back, it was very, very difficult getting on air. And you had to serve years of apprenticeship. I remember very well, in 1982, when I first had access to the microphone, GBC.
41 years ago.
That's right. That was when Santi Kotoko played against Semasi in Togo, and Rebecca was the commentator. And that was the first time I had access to the microphone. And you were allowed to speak for only 2 minutes. And you had to serve apprenticeship. And
2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes. And as you went on air, there was a team at Broadcasting House monitoring your usage of the language, your vocabulary. So on one occasion, I made a comment and said the game was the grand final. Instead of saying grand finale, because that was the popular usage. Although technically it was not wrong. Yeah. I was summoned before that committee to come and explain
why you used grand final.
I had to use grand final. So education was very strict. And so it was quite difficult. You had to serve years of apprenticeship to get on air. It's not that difficult these days because of the proliferation of radio stations and television stations. So young people overnight get on air and they think they are superstars. They are not ready to learn. But it's something that Joe Lartey taught us. The fact that you have to continually keep your feet on the ground. This is somebody who's achieved so much. And in his day, he wasn't only the voice in Africa, he was a voice across the world. Everybody who followed sports listened to his voice. And yet he was so humble up to today. And indeed, one of my biggest sources of joy and inspiration was when the AIPS decided to honor him in Khalifa. The Khalifa International Stadium, which hosted one of the World Cups before the World Cup. And the president of the IIPS, Gianni Mello, who's an Italian, they had heard so much about Joe Agri. Every single journalist around the world has heard so much about Joe Agri. Joe Lartey. You know, growing up, the likes of Rob Hughes, Hugh McLavany, who were huge in Europe, all took inspiration from Joe Lartey. And if you know Brian Glanville, who is one of the oldest journalists in the world at the moment. I remember when Ghana played against England at Wembley. He came and covered the match, and at that time he was 92 years. And all these guys speak about Joe Lartey, and yet he has his feet on the ground. So when Gianni Mello called and asked me about Joe Lartey, I said, this is the time for us to celebrate the man. And quickly, AIPS is the umbrella body for all journals around the world. Yeah,
International Sports Press Association.
International Sports Association. So they decided to put a package together before the World Cup, where journalists from around 120 countries gathered at the Khalifa International Stadium on the award ceremony, and his was the highlight of the night.
Wow. Was
the night. And that is the only award that had a standing ovation.
Nice.
Every single, if you look at the footage, I was consumed with, it was unbelievable.
And it's a fellow Ghanaian, you see?
It's a fellow Ghanaian, yeah. And the inspiration. And what people do not know is that he is so sharp, and if you engage him, he remembers everything several decades ago. So throughout our journey, we spent some days there before the event. Throughout our journey, he continued to educate us, the need to continually learn, the need to practice, the need to don't settle for mediocrity. It's all about excellence. It's about a distinctive edge. And so Joe Lartey makes some of us look like minnows, and we continue to learn from him. He's such a massive, he's a colossus. You know, the word legend has been abused over the years. So with all due respect, very average people are called legends. And these days you hear the word ace, commentator.
Icon.
And this is a legend icon. And these are very average people. So it's been abused, it's been adulterated. And this is the true legend. And I think it's amazing that we celebrate him whilst he's here with us.
And it's not just football, because you were talking about boxing commentary. Yeah. It's a sports commentator.
And when you talk about boxing, for instance, and the other disciplines, the ease with which he ran commentary. And in those days, we were privileged. DK Poison, for instance, had a number of engagements. The first world champion, and he had to defend his title a number of times. And we had the privilege of watching him at the Accra Sports Stadium. And if you were not at the stadium and Joe Lartey was running commentary, it was as though you were there, and people preferred listening to the commentary. So there are a number of people who go to the stadium watching a live game, and they have their radio with them and still listening to commentary.
You want the descriptions, man.
Because the flurry of the language, the ease, poetry in motion. Yeah. So he's telling you polo inside the center circle, outside the center circle, around the center circle. And you're picturing exactly what polo is doing, So, this is a man who has inspired generations upon generations. Yeah. And we are very, very privileged to be associated with a true legend like Joe Lartey.
Awesome. You're watching GTV Breakfast. My name is Cafe Day, here with Kwame Yeboah and Prince Joe Lartey Jr., a mentee of the great Joe Lartey. We'll be doing an unveiling pretty soon. But before that, a couple of brief questions. So, Prince, what do you know about Mr. Joe Lartey that we don't know?
That you don't know?
Yes.
Well, he was in the Navy.
We know that.
You know that.
Tell us something we don't know. I mean, maybe your personal relationship with him, something that you think we should know.
Okay. You know that it's had influence on different generations. You know the number of children he has. Basically, you know everything that I know that is in the public.
Well, it's his sharpness. Look at his age.
You don't know about that.
Dad, look at his age.
I know that.
Talk to him about events that happened 50 years ago, and he refreshes you as though it happened only yesterday.
Okay.
And for me, it dawned on me because, you know, we all lose a certain memory as we age. And in my age, there are so many things that I, for example, forgotten. But this is a man who is so sharp and continues to educate us. And outside football, he hasn't told you, but he's so endowed with political opinions, except he doesn't get into the public domain. Because, and I think he's safer doing that, because politics has become so toxic in our part of the world. It's become so divisive that every single opinion you express, people have to box you in a pigeonhole. And so there's that aspect which is not known by members of the public.
Yes, and to add a little to that, you know, he went into exile because of politics.
Okay.
Yes, he together with.
No, that's something I don't know. He went to exile, right?
He went to exile in Nigeria for over 9 years. In fact, he absconded. Let me use that word. Together,
He fled.
Okay. Disguised and fled.
I'm going to ask him.
He disguised as a priest and fled.
As a priest?
Yes, and fled through Togo.
Listen, at this point, I think I need to walk to the man and get verification from these facts. So, Kobna and Prince, please, with your permission, can I step over and go and speak with Mr. Lartey? All right, you're watching GTV Breakfast. So I'll be going over to our guest, who we've been talking about since we started this conversation. Let me take my notes. I'm sure he'll ask, where are your notes, Kafi? So let me go over to him, take my pen. All right, okay. Mr. Lartey. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
It's good to have you here.
That's right.
And did you really disguise yourself as a priest?
So you don't know?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't know. What kind of priest did you disguise yourself as?
In 1978, at the height of General Champion's union government nonsense.
Unigov.
Well, Unigov. Today I call it nonsense, but I think there's a bit of sense in it. There was a movement called the Movement for Freedom and Justice.
Correct.
It was put together by the late General Frifa, and the office, the secretariat, was in the office of G.W. Amate Few. That name has died from Ghana, out of Ghana, and it pains me. He was the first Ghanaian to oppose a military government, G.W. Amate Few. And so we were all meeting there. Nana Akufo-Addo, who is president today, was one of the people. We used to send them into the bush to go and talk to the farmers. You know, and this thing went on. Then there was a referendum organized by General that man, Achampo. And Ghanaians poo-pooed the union government concept. And so he started arresting the leaders. I was writing a kind of story every weekend with this man, Darocha.
Yes, BJ.
You know, BJ Darocha. The two of us were putting out this paper every weekend, condemning the union government.
Risky.
So I was the third on the list to be arrested. But happily for me, the police people who were coming to arrest me, the head of them he had a wife in GBC. That woman, she must be very old now, called Foley. She was a beautician. She used to prepare people to appear on the air.
Okay.
So, and she knew somebody who knew me very well. So on a Friday evening, he brought the information to me that I was going to be picked up on Saturday morning at about 3 o'clock. So I took a trouser and a shirt, something, put it into a small bag, and went to a sister at Tema, where I spent the night. And truly, they were looking for me. They went to where I lived with my wife. They searched the wardrobe. They searched under the bedstead, and Lartey was nowhere to be found.
Cool.
I was dressed like a priest with a pork pie. I had a Bible in my, under my armpit, and I got to the crossing, what we call the place now.
Level crossing?
The
border?
The border.
Aflau.
I got there about 5 minutes to 12 in the night.
Wow. And did they allow you to go through?
Yeah. The car in which I traveled was one of these Peugeot, those days, yeah. And the driver was somebody from Winneba. And everybody got down before the crossing. I was the only one left. So he was asking me, where are you going? I said, I'm crossing the border. I said, at this time of the night, he says, they won't allow you. So he said, do you have some money on you? I said, yes. He said, give me 20 cedis, a coin. I gave him 20 cedis. He went to the boys who were and he gave it to them, and he came back. And he said, you have a little more. And he said, give me another one. I gave him 20. He went. He said, you can cross. And believe me, the crossing, knowing that I was wanted, knowing that I could be arrested during the crossing, my feet were going like this, Unfortunately, I got to the other end of
You were safe.
And there's a hotel. I don't know whether it's still running. At the time I got there, there was a hotel called Hotel Lily Hotel. That's where I slept.
Did you bless anybody as a priest?
I didn't. But when I crossed, I went to a drink. There's a bar somewhere there. And the driver, he followed me.
The Winneba guy.
Come on. He said, how did you get into politics? We know you to be sports. I told him my whole story. He said, I jumped with them, bloody fool.
What a story.
I crossed and went to, and when I got to Lagos after midnight. I was going to put up with somebody I didn't know. I had the address. When I got to the house, the man was attending a party organized by a very prominent Ghanaian in Lagos at Apapa. So they took me to the party.
In your Catholic?
In my
priest robes.
And then this guy didn't know me. I gave him the note that I brought from Accra. He read the thing, and then he announced it. Oh, that I had run away from Ghana. But he did. No, nothing happened.
Nothing happened to you?
Nothing happened.
Thank God.
The next day, I went to Broadcasting House. I went to see Ishula Shaw. He was the head of the sports department at the time. And when I told him, I said, so Ghana doesn't want you. I said, no. He said, there's a program going on in music studio. Go and join them. That's why I started working there.
You took off the priestly robes and you went straight to the microphone.
I went straight.
What a story.
Yeah.
I'm here with a legendary, and I will use this one. It's real.
So,
it's not none of these 2x4 legends.
When I came here this morning, my face was clean, smiling face. And then these two ladies, two young ladies, moved me to tears. Oh. And I'm still recovering. The story they told in the poem that the lady, you know, as if they knew me before.
We know you.
We know you. And then the way they put it, the way I heard it again, my mind went straight back to the days, the difficulties that I had been through in GBC. GBC, I worked for 8 years out of 13 years. 8 years I never had a promotion because somebody was trying to cheat, and I said, no, you couldn't cheat. And then this man became Director General. And look, we don't want to talk.
You
old
said,
fellow,
you
we
said,
are here.
you said a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break right now.
8 years without promotion. That's why I left.
Have you forgiven that guy?
Oh, he's dead. He died.
We are very much alive. We're going for a commercial break. We'll be back for a very special unveiling.
I'm
Stick
very
around.
sorry. He's dead.
He's dead. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Shot, but no doubt he went straight for goal.
The story that Mr. Lartey told us about that guy. You're watching GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafui Day. It's a wonderful day. Today, the 9th of January 2023. And it's the Arts Legendary Wall of Fame Honors 2023. We are recognizing and paying tribute to a great, as far as broadcasting, commentating, journalism is concerned, the great Joachim Awule Lartey. Mr. Joe Lartey, over to you. And I've been joined by the Director General of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin. Prof, good to have you here. And Mr. George Lomute, Director of TV, good to have you here. And Prince Kojo Hilton, founder and artist. And we have a gold cloth here, under which lies one of your works of art. Gigi, good to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. I wish I'd won my Fugu too.
I'm
then
here
I'd
to
have been
recover
like you.
from the story about promotion.
The promotion story, yeah.
It won't happen.
It won't happen. No. You have the DG's word on that. It's not happening. 8 years is too much. Yeah. So, Prince, what are we doing here?
Okay, so we are here to unveil this huge monumental piece, which is a portrait of our legendary Joe Lartey. Okay. This painting took me like 4 to 5 months working on it, night every night, and it's something special. There are some elements in the painting that maybe I will explain if time is permitted, and then also a style I created, and that's my first time using that style in my painting. So I hope my viewers are going to watch something extraordinary today from me. Okay.
So what's the process? Does DJ come here? Or he
Yes,
can stand?
yes.
Yeah, DJ.
I will have to go there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
And then we are here.
All right. Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes. We're here to unveil a portrait of Mr. Joe Lartey. Okay. Whoa. This is... Prince, tell us about this painting.
Okay. So I love painting in monochrome. Monochrome is like painting in 2 colors. It
Yeah.
would be just white and blue, white and brown. Or I love using shades of brown because the shades of brown tells a lot of stories, and it's deep. If you look into this picture, you are not just seeing a picture. You are seeing him. You are seeing his works. You're seeing where he started from. I picked up the GBC symbol here to let people know who he is and what he stands for in Ghana and in the world at large. I picked up this symbol, Gansamai, just as we have the Adikra symbol. Yeah, this is Adashi. Adashi in the Ghana word means, give thanks, or we congratulate, or Adashi, yeah, appreciation.
Thanksgiving.
So yeah, Thanksgiving. So at this moment, we would all like to say,
thank you.
Ni nyuma jobu, one dabushi. Kanono fe ha wo fe ni mene wo bi ne gbege bi ne le ho e ba hye wo no. Ni wake nyuma jobu. Onone. There's a microphone
Of course.
that also tells his journey too as well. I said that this microphone,
The old school style. On air.
so he's on air.
Yes.
He's always on
Always
air,
on
and
air.
he will always be on air.
On air.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kafu.
Oh, wonderful. This deserves a big round. And I love the look on his face. I mean, it's looking into the future.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and confident.
Great.
And
Great.
just proud of his achievements as
That's
well.
it.
You know,
That's it.
this is a really beautiful photo.
Bless you.
A really
Bless you.
beautiful portrait.
Bless you.
Kojo Hilton 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
So that's it's unveiled, and it's so where will be the home of this particular painting?
Okay, so GBC is the home. GBC will house this painting forever.
Beautiful.
Whoever visits GBC
Yes.
must see this painting before you leave.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you
So,
so much.
and I also like to say thank you to DG. In fact, when I called DG on phone and that I want to do this, instantly he said, Kojo, let's do it. And today we are here.
We're here.
Thank you, Mr. Lomote, for also supporting us right from day one. In fact, he came in at the last moment, but his contribution has been so powerful. And
Awesome.
I say thank you to you, thank you to GBC, thank you to Ghana, thank you to Africa.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
This is wonderful. And that brings us really to the end of our show for today, the 9th of January, celebrating Joe Lartey with this wonderful, majestic painting, portrait of the man himself. And come to GBC to see it for yourself. Yeah. We are housing it here. So on behalf of the entire team, the director, the fellow presenters, everybody, the crew, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And God willing, we'll meet here again tomorrow, same time, 5:55 for another edition of GTV Breakfast.